Friday, March 22, 2019. Trump backs Israeli sovereignty over Golan Heights. President Trump endorsed Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights on Thursday, marking what would be a sharp U.S. policy shift over the disputed territory decades after Israel seized the land from Syria in the Six-Day War.
He recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and he did so at a time when Iran is trying to use Syria as a platform to attack and destroy Israel.
The decision, the latest in a series of pro-Israel moves under Mr. Trump, telegraphs support for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as the Israeli leader campaigns in a tight re-election bid under the cloud of potential corruption charges. The Golan move comes before Mr. Netanyahu's visit to the White House next week, and as U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met on Thursday with the Israeli leader. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo suggested in a televised interview Thursday that God may have sent President Donald Trump to Earth to protect Israel. Iran is determined to boost its defense capabilities despite mounting pressure from the United States and its allies to curb its ballistic missile program. The Muslim call to prayer rang out across New Zealand on Friday, followed by 2 minutes of nationwide silence to mark a week since a white supremacist gunned down 50 people at 2 mosques in the city of Christchurch. EU approves Brexit extension, but chaotic departure still looms. European Union leaders on Thursday agreed to extend the deadline for Britain's looming exit from the bloc in order to give Prime Minister Theresa May and the British Parliament more time to get their act together. After hours of difficult and sometimes passionate talks, the leaders decided that Britain's exit date will be pushed back to May 22nd if next week Mrs. May can persuade lawmakers in Parliament to accept her plan for leaving the bloc. For a longer extension, though, it would have to take part in elections to the European Parliament in May, something Mrs. May said early Friday would be an absurdity 3 years after Britons voted in a referendum to leave the bloc. U.S. immigration arrests fell under President Donald Trump at the end of 2018 compared to the same period a year earlier, a drop authorities attributed to a growing need to deal with alarming rates of migrant families at the border. At 94 years and 172 days old, Jimmy Carter has become the oldest living former president ever, a record previously held by the late President George H.W. Bush. A judge on Thursday temporarily blocked Wisconsin Republicans' contentious lame duck laws, limiting the powers of new Democratic Governor Tony Evers. Florida man pleads guilty to mailing bombs to Trump foes. A Florida man identified as Cesar Seong pleaded guilty Thursday to sending pipe bombs to CNN and prominent critics of President Donald Trump in a wave of attacks that harmed no one but spread fear of political violence across the U.S. for days leading up to last fall's midterm elections. Though he said he never meant for the devices to explode, he conceded he knew they could. He could get life in prison at sentencing September 12th on 65 counts, including 16 counts of using a weapon of mass destruction and mailing explosives with intent to kill. Mayor Bill de Blasio's team confirmed he will deliver remarks at the annual American-Israel Public Affairs Committee conference this weekend. An NYPD sergeant has agreed to pay a $6,000 fine after he tried to use his badge to get special treatment from a city agency. Flatbush will vote in yet another special election to decide who will claim a city council seat left vacant by the specially elected public advocate Jumaane Williams.